It's now 5 days since the Assad family's more than 5-decade-long iron rule of Syria came to an end at the hands of Syrian rebel forces led by the Islamist group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS. And thousands have poured into Damascus's Umayyad Mosque, with the new caretaker Prime Minister Mohammed al-Bashir joining worshippers as the country emerges from the dark chapter of its history.
Victory and the liberation of the land is not just about breaking chains or raising flags. It is the birth of a nation, the restoration of dignity, and the writing of history. Assad thought his rule would last forever, but God brought him to ruin.
Celebrations at the end of the Assad regime continue, jubilation not only in the capital Damascus, but also in cities such as Aleppo in northern Syria, the first city to fall to the rebels as they swept across the country. It's prompting a warning from the leader of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham for some caution.
I want to congratulate the great Syrian people for the victory of the blessed revolution, and I invite them to head to the squares to show their happiness without shooting bullets and scaring people. And then after, we will work to build this country and, as I said in the beginning, be victorious by the help of God.
The political and diplomatic wrangling following the toppling of President Bashar al-Assad continues not only here in the Middle East, but it's also garnering attention further afield. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has met with the Turkish president after talks with the Jordanian king about the situation in Syria. Turkey is a major player in this conflict, supporting some of the forces still involved in heavy fighting in the north of Syria. Mr. Blinken says regional leaders are so far on the same page.
There's broad agreement on what we would each like to see going forward, starting with the interim government in Syria, one that is inclusive and non-sectarian, one that protects the rights of minorities and women, one that preserves institutions of the state and delivers services to the people, one that deals with any chemical weapons it may find to secure them and appropriately destroy them, one that rejects any alliances with extremist groups, and, of course, one that does not pose any kind of threat to any of Syria's neighbors.
Secretary Blinken moving on to Iraq following that meeting in Turkey in an unannounced leg of his trip to the Middle East. In the hours after the Syrian regime fell, it was reported thousands of Syrian government forces had poured across the border into Iraq, a country which has grappled with its own instability over the course of many years through wars and the jostling of various militia groups. It shows that the end of the Assad regime in Syria will have broader consequences for the entire Middle East region.